Every year, millions of people around the world face a heart attack caused by blocked arteries they never knew they had. But what if a simple spice in your kitchen, combined with a glass of warm water each day, could help improve circulation, lower blood pressure, and reduce the risk of a first or recurring heart attack? Is this truly effective, or is it just a myth? Why does this spice have such an impact on blood vessels that many experts mention it? And, most importantly, how should you use it safely to protect your heart and arteries? All of this will be explained in today's video. To understand why a spice could play a role in preventing heart attacks, you need to know what really happens inside the cardiovascular system when arteries begin to clog. This process usually starts when harmful cholesterol particles, called LDL, build up on the artery walls. Over time, plaque forms and gradually narrows the arteries, making it harder for blood to flow. When the heart does not get enough blood supply, especially during physical exertion, it becomes deprived of oxygen and sends warning signs like chest pain. Worse, if a plaque ruptures, a blood clot can suddenly form, completely blocking the artery and causing a heart attack. This is not something that happens in a few days, but the result of years of cholesterol buildup, high blood pressure, chronic inflammation, and a sedentary lifestyle. That is why controlling inflammation and improving circulation early on are critical in preventing heart disease. One of the most studied natural compounds linked to better circulation and reduced inflammation is capsaicin, the active ingredient in cayenne pepper. Capsaicin not only creates a burning sensation, but also has strong biological effects on the cardiovascular system. It helps stimulate the dilation of small blood vessels, lowering the pressure inside them and supporting a natural reduction in blood pressure. In addition, capsaicin can inhibit platelet aggregation, a key factor in blood clot formation, while promoting lipid metabolism that gradually reduces bad cholesterol levels over time. These effects are not immediate, but when used consistently, they can help the body manage inflammation and increase blood flow to the heart and brain, two organs that need a constant supply of oxygen to sustain life. What is important to understand is that this is a supportive measure. It cannot replace prescribed medication or medical procedures in serious conditions. If you want to use cayenne pepper as part of a heart disease prevention strategy, the recommended amount is about half a teaspoon of cayenne powder mixed with 200 milliliters of warm water, taken in the morning after a meal. If you have never used this spice before, it is best to start with a smaller amount so your body has time to adjust. The taste may feel very hot for some people, but that warming sensation is a sign of blood vessel dilation, a physiological response that can be beneficial if managed correctly. However, this method is not suitable for everyone. If you have stomach ulcers, acid reflux, or are taking blood-thinning medications prescribed by your doctor, you should seek medical advice before trying it. In addition, you should not exceed the recommended dose because high amounts of capsaicin can irritate the lining of the digestive tract and cause unwanted effects. Safety must always come first when applying any supportive measure related to heart health. Using cayenne pepper will only be effective if it is combined with other healthy lifestyle habits. A diet rich in vegetables, fresh fruits, whole grains, and healthy fats from fish or nuts helps lower total cholesterol and supports blood pressure control. Maintaining regular physical activity for at least 30 minutes a day not only improves circulation, but also raises HDL, the good cholesterol, which helps limit plaque buildup inside the arteries. Along with this, managing stress, getting enough sleep, and avoiding tobacco are all key factors in preventing heart attack and stroke. Cayenne pepper can play a role as part of a positive lifestyle, but it will never be enough on its own without broader lifestyle changes. The body requires care from multiple directions. It cannot rely on a single ingredient. Another important point to remember is that monitoring your heart health should be done regularly, especially if you are over 50. Routine checks of blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, and heart rate can help detect early warning signs before they become dangerous. If you have a family history of heart disease or stroke, or if you have personally experienced symptoms such as chest pain, shortness of breath, or unexplained palpitations, never ignore them. These may be early signs of a heart attack or a transient ischemic attack. In such cases, cayenne pepper may serve as part of a long-term prevention plan, but it cannot replace prescribed medications or professional treatment. The safest and most effective approach is to combine modern medicine with supportive natural measures as you age. Some early studies suggest that capsaicin may affect the endothelium, the thin layer of cells lining the arteries that regulates blood pressure and inflammation. When the endothelium is healthy, blood vessels dilate more easily, lowering the risk of blood clot formation and improving blood flow to both the heart and the brain. This is especially critical for older adults because endothelial function declines with age, contributing to atherosclerosis. Although research on this mechanism is ongoing, current evidence indicates that maintaining a moderate intake of capsaicin in the diet may help support vascular function in older individuals. What must be understood is that the benefits of capsaicin depend not only on the compound itself, but also on overall health and commitment to a healthy lifestyle. This is not a miracle solution, but a supplemental factor in a comprehensive heart protection strategy. It is equally important to stress that no natural method can replace the role of medical diagnosis in detecting and treating cardiovascular disease. Some people become complacent when relying on folk remedies or natural ingredients and end up ignoring dangerous warning signs. In reality, many first heart attacks show no typical symptoms or occur while at rest, leaving patients without the chance for timely intervention. For this reason, whether you are using cayenne pepper or any other supplement, you must stay in contact with your physician, undergo blood tests, electrocardiograms, or echocardiograms when indicated. Combining proactive prevention with natural support and standard medical care is the smart way to lower the risk of recurrent heart attacks in those with a history of cardiovascular disease. You can care for your health on your own, but you must never alter or stop prescribed treatment plans without medical guidance. To get the most benefit from cayenne pepper, it is important to use it consistently every day over the long term in order to see clear effects. At the same time, you must listen to your body and stop using it if you experience unusual reactions such as stomach pain, persistent burning in the stomach, or diarrhea. Every individual responds differently, and not everyone can tolerate the same amount of capsaicin. In many cases, just a quarter teaspoon is enough to trigger vessel dilation without causing irritation. If the taste feels too strong, you can combine it with raw honey or add it to food instead of drinking it directly. This flexibility makes it easier to maintain the habit without harming your digestive system. Finally, remember that heart health never comes from a single solution. It is the result of a series of correct choices practiced consistently every day over many years. The sooner you make lifestyle changes, the less likely you are to face serious complications later in life. Recent studies also suggest that capsaicin may help increase energy metabolism and support weight control, another important factor in heart disease prevention. People who are overweight or obese face higher risks of high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and lipid disorders, all of which greatly increase the chance of a heart attack. Capsaicin may help suppress appetite, increase thermogenesis, and promote fat burning. However, once again, it must be emphasized that no single spice can control weight or lower blood lipids on its own. What is necessary is a balanced approach, combining proper nutrition, regular physical activity, stress management, and quality sleep. Capsaicin can serve as supportive therapy in a comprehensive strategy. Used correctly, it can help improve circulation, aid metabolism, and contribute to long-term heart health. But if it is overused or taken by the wrong individuals, the benefits will not be achieved and harm may result instead. Cayenne pepper is a powerful natural ingredient with proven effects on circulation, vessel dilation, and blood pressure reduction thanks to capsaicin. But in the broader context of heart protective foods, other natural options like garlic, ginger, and turmeric also provide significant benefits through different mechanisms. Garlic contains allicin, which lowers bad cholesterol, raises good cholesterol, slightly thins the blood, and reduces inflammation, helping to slow plaque formation and support vascular function. Ginger is rich in gingerol and shogal, which reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, improve arterial elasticity, support digestion, and provide antioxidant protection. Turmeric, with its key compound curcumin, is a strong anti-inflammatory that helps regulate blood lipids and protect the endothelium from oxidative stress. While cayenne pepper often produces quicker and more noticeable effects on circulation, it can irritate the digestive system if used improperly. In contrast, garlic, ginger, and turmeric are safer for long-term use, cause fewer side effects, and can be easily integrated into daily meals. The choice of which to use should depend on personal health conditions and goals, but the most effective approach is to combine a variety of these foods in your diet to create a comprehensive defense against heart disease. Instead of drinking cayenne pepper mixed with warm water, you can easily add it into your daily meals in safer and more enjoyable ways. Drinking it in water is a simple method, but it is not suitable for everyone, especially those with stomach issues or who cannot tolerate strong spiciness. To make cayenne pepper a practical part of your diet while still protecting your digestive system, here are some suggestions for using it in food rather than drinking it directly.
Use a small amount of cayenne pepper on fried eggs, scrambled eggs, or even boiled eggs to add flavor and support circulation. Mix into soups or porridge. Add cayenne pepper to vegetable soups, chicken broth, or oatmeal porridge for a gentle heat that warms the body. Blend into salad dressings. Combine cayenne pepper with lemon juice, olive oil, and honey to create a light, spicy dressing that works well with fresh salads. Use in meat or fish marinades. Mix cayenne pepper into spice blends for chicken, beef, or fish before grilling or pan-searing to create a slightly sweet and spicy flavor. Add to vegetable smoothies. With just a small pinch, cayenne pepper can be blended into green smoothies or juices such as carrot or celery to enhance metabolism while keeping the taste drinkable. Mix into savory oatmeal or granola. A little cayenne pepper combined with roasted oats and nuts can create a healthy, energy-rich snack that benefits heart health. When adding cayenne pepper to your meals, always start with a small amount and increase gradually depending on your tolerance to spice. Avoid using it if you have active stomach ulcers. Flexibility in preparation not only makes meals more flavorful, but also helps you maintain a long-term heart-healthy habit. Combining cayenne pepper with the Mediterranean or DASH diet can provide synergistic benefits for heart health, since both eating patterns have been proven in multiple clinical studies to lower the risk of heart disease, improve lipid levels, reduce blood pressure, and decrease chronic inflammation. The Mediterranean diet emphasizes whole foods such as fatty fish, extra virgin olive oil, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and legumes, while limiting red meat and processed foods. The DASH diet was specifically designed to manage blood pressure by prioritizing foods rich in potassium, magnesium, calcium, and fiber while reducing sodium and saturated fats. Cayenne pepper, with its active compound capsaicin, adds another layer of cardiovascular support by enhancing circulation, dilating blood vessels, and reducing platelet aggregation, which helps lower pressure in the arteries and improve blood flow to vital organs. Within the Mediterranean diet, cayenne pepper can be used to add gentle heat to grilled fish, vegetable salads with olive oil, or stewed legumes, preserving the principle of healthy fats while boosting metabolism through capsaicin's thermogenic effect. Within the DASH diet, cayenne pepper can help reduce the need for added salt, since natural spiciness makes dishes taste more flavorful. This contributes to lower daily sodium intake while maintaining enjoyment of food. Additionally, capsaicin may aid in weight control by suppressing appetite and slightly increasing energy expenditure, which is especially important for those who need to lose weight to lower blood pressure and reduce strain on the heart. Both the Mediterranean and DASH diets encourage plenty of fresh vegetables and high-quality protein, which pair well with the antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties of capsaicin. When applying this combination, it is best to start with a small amount of cayenne pepper to allow the body to adjust, especially for individuals with sensitive stomachs, then gradually increase according to tolerance. Incorporating a powerful spice like cayenne pepper into the balanced and heart-protective foundations of the Mediterranean or DASH diet not only enhances flavor, but also provides an added layer of cardiovascular protection, supporting circulation and long-term overall health. The gut microbiome plays a critical role in regulating immunity, energy metabolism, and cardiovascular health. Cayenne pepper, with its main active compound capsaicin, not only acts directly on circulation, but also indirectly through its influence on gut microbiota structure and function. Recent studies suggest that capsaicin can promote the growth of beneficial bacteria such as lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, while suppressing certain harmful or toxin-producing bacteria like Escherichia coli and Clostridium difficile. When the gut microbiome is balanced, the intestinal lining is strengthened, which reduces the leakage of endotoxins such as lipopolysaccharides into the bloodstream, a process known to trigger systemic inflammation. Capsaicin also stimulates the production of short-chain fatty acids such as butyrate and propionate, which help lower inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, and protect the endothelial lining of blood vessels. This is particularly important for individuals at high risk of cardiovascular disease since chronic inflammation and insulin resistance are two key drivers of atherosclerosis. In addition, capsaicin has antioxidant effects, helping neutralize free radicals, reduce oxidative stress, and protect cellular DNA. Together, these actions, regulating gut microbiota, lowering inflammation, and providing antioxidant support, create a multidimensional benefit that improves overall health and reduces strain on the cardiovascular system. Incorporating cayenne pepper into a balanced diet, especially alongside fiber-rich and prebiotic foods, can optimize the gut environment, better control systemic inflammation, and support long-term prevention of cardiovascular events. Real-world feedback from people who have tried this method shows encouraging results. The use of cayenne pepper to support heart health has received many positive responses worldwide, especially from those who use it consistently and combine it with a healthy diet. Linda Jackson, 62, from Texas, shared that after being diagnosed with early-stage high blood pressure, she began adding half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper to her morning oatmeal every day. After 3 months, her blood pressure was more stable and her energy levels improved significantly. Alan, a chef in California, reported that he incorporated cayenne pepper into his salads and sauces daily as part of his cholesterol management routine. He noticed better circulation and a refreshing feeling after meals. Meanwhile, Maria Gomez, 45, from Spain, said she added cayenne pepper to her morning ginger tea. After 6 weeks of steady use, her blood pressure readings improved slightly and her digestion felt smoother. There are also more cautious voices. David Lee, 51, from Canada, shared that when he first tried drinking cayenne pepper in water, it caused stomach discomfort, so he switched to capsaicin extract capsules, which felt easier to tolerate. These real-life experiences highlight that while the method is simple, its effectiveness depends on individual tolerance, the form of use, and long-term consistency. Listening to your body and consulting a healthcare professional before starting is essential to maximize health benefits and ensure long-term safety. In recent years, natural health methods have become increasingly popular, especially for preventing and supporting the treatment of cardiovascular disease. While natural ingredients such as cayenne pepper, garlic, ginger, and turmeric offer potential benefits, relying on them alone while ignoring proper medical diagnosis and professional guidance can lead to serious consequences. First, cardiovascular symptoms such as high blood pressure, chest pain, shortness of breath, or irregular heartbeat are often easy to mistake or dismiss. Self-treating with food without medical evaluation may allow the disease to progress silently to a dangerous stage. A common example is people who believe that taking cayenne pepper daily will prevent a heart attack without the need for regular blood pressure checks. In reality, many patients still suffer heart attacks despite using natural remedies consistently, because underlying conditions such as plaque buildup, high cholesterol, or diabetes were never properly managed. Second, some natural compounds may interact with prescription medications. Capsaicin in cayenne pepper can increase bleeding risk when combined with blood thinners such as warfarin or high-dose aspirin. Raw garlic and ginger also have blood-thinning effects, raising the risk of hemorrhage when used uncontrolled alongside prescribed drugs. If patients fail to inform their doctors about using these natural products, treatment complications become far more likely. Third, a lack of medical knowledge can lead to dosing errors or improper use. Some people add too much cayenne pepper to drinks or consume it too frequently throughout the day, causing gastrointestinal irritation, stomach pain, heartburn, or diarrhea. These side effects may cause them to abandon the method or develop skepticism toward all supportive therapies. Finally, it must be understood that natural approaches should only serve as supportive measures, not replacements for medical diagnosis and treatment. Doctors have the expertise to identify cardiovascular conditions, monitor progression, and adjust treatment plans to individual needs. The safest and most effective strategy for long-term heart health is the integration of modern medicine with carefully chosen natural support. In summary, trust in natural remedies can be positive, but it must be grounded in accurate knowledge and medical responsibility. Regular checkups, lab tests, careful attention to symptoms, and open communication with a physician before starting any supplemental method are essential parts of a smart and sustainable approach to cardiovascular health. To conclude, remember that protecting your heart is not only for those already diagnosed with heart disease. It is the responsibility of everyone after age 60 when the heart begins to weaken with time and the risk of a heart attack becomes more real than ever. Even if you feel healthy today, that does not mean you are immune to future heart problems. Using a spicy ingredient like cayenne pepper is a simple and affordable example of how to support vascular health, improve blood flow, and potentially lower the risk of clot formation when used properly. But it should never be treated as a miracle cure or a replacement for a healthy lifestyle. Nothing is more effective than a balanced diet, regular physical activity, and routine medical checkups. You should start with small but sustainable habits. Drink enough water each day. Cut down on salt. Replace red meat with fish and vegetables. Practice light exercise such as walking, tai chi, or slow cycling. Quit smoking if you still do. Focus on positivity and make sure you get enough sleep every night. Do not forget to monitor your blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar regularly, especially if you live alone. Share your health status with family, neighbors, or caregivers so they can step in when needed. Keeping everything to yourself could make the difference between survival and tragedy in an emergency. If you find this video helpful, do not keep it to yourself. Share it with loved ones, friends, or anyone you know who is over 60 or living alone. One video like this may help them recognize early warning signs and take the right action in time.
And if you want to keep learning practical, accurate, and easy-to-understand science-based knowledge about preventing heart attacks, protecting cardiovascular health, and living longer every day, subscribe to this channel today. We do not offer false promises. We only share what is real, proven, and ready for you to apply immediately. Each week, you will receive simple, practical solutions you can use at home to maintain a strong heart. This is not just a place to watch videos. This is where you learn to live safely, live proactively, and live longer. Do not wait. Take action now. For your heart, the most valuable thing no one else can protect for you.